بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I start with the name of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I praise and thank Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. It is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala whose help and assistance we seek in all of our worldly and religious matters. And the praise and gratitude is rightfully due to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And may Allah send countless blessings and salutations upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. And I ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to grant us sincere intentions. It's very important that we correct our intention before we start the deed, and that we have that noble intention at the beginning of the deed, and that we try to make that intention last throughout the deed so we can get the complete reward for that deed in the hereafter. I remind myself and I remind all of you with the statement of Al-Imam Al-Mujaddid Al-Sheikh Abdullah bin Alawi Al-Haddad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who said that whoever knows one religious case, then he is a learned person in that. It's a very important statement. Whoever knows one religious judgment, then he is a learned person, meaning like a scholar in that. And what is understood from that is that he must convey that, or she must convey that one mas'ala, that one religious judgment, that one learned properly and one understood properly, and one's understanding was verified by those who understand, then you must convey that. And the important thing is understanding, to ensure that you understood what was conveyed to you before you convey it to others. That's a very important thing. You have to ensure that you yourself understood properly what was conveyed to you before you convey it to others. So the system of preserving the Islamic knowledge is extremely important. even if it is only one religious case. One religious case. And everything we know about the religion is an accumulation of individual religious cases. So we have one judgment, one religious case. Then we have another religious case we learn. Then we have another one. And ultimately, it becomes a bunch of religious cases. And those cases becomes sections. Those sections become chapters. Those chapters become books. Those books become volumes. That's how knowledge grows. Step by step, by step, by step, by step. And it's very important that we understand that and we approach knowledge that way. Our teachers used to tell us, whoever seeks knowledge all at once will miss knowledge in its entirety. Whoever seeks knowledge all at once will lose that knowledge in its entirety. So when one studies a case, one needs to excel in one's understanding and comprehension of that case before one moves to another case. It's extremely important. And then when you look at that as a collective effort, one begins to realize that I'm not just learning for myself. When we looked at it as a collective effort, one realized I'm not just learning for myself. Because when one really understands knowledge, one understands that one has a responsibility to convey whatever you're learning to someone else, even if it's only one person. So therefore, I have to ensure that I do a good job in learning even one case. And that is more emphasized the more cases I learn, because the more cases I learn, the more judgments I learn. Sometimes if I'm not excellent in the first judgment, by the time I get to the 10th judgment, I forgot the first judgment. And the first judgment may be necessary for a complete understanding of the 10th judgment. Did y'all follow that? And that happens often when we start to accumulate more knowledge. We forget the previous knowledge, which hinders us from properly understanding the knowledge we're on at that stage. The knowledge we're learning at that stage is extremely important. So our teachers would teach us that repeating in that is a benefit. Constantly repeating your lessons will help you preserve those lessons as you add more knowledge to what you already have. But without that constant review and repetition, you're going to forget cases that are essential for the proper understanding of future cases. This is extremely important. Add to that, in our time and in the way we live, the amount of information that is really forced on us without us even realizing it. So much information is constantly coming at us all the time. Relevant information, insignificant information, false information, and harmful information to our direction as seekers of the hereafter. And I want to give us advice. Please, please, please get in the habit of saying, I don't know, till it becomes something you really believe about yourself. Please, please get in the habit of saying, I don't know, until it is something you really believe about yourself. This is one of the biggest advices I can give myself and all of us. Please, 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 how they say, pretty please, get in the habit of saying, I don't know, till you really believe that about yourself. One of the biggest obstacles in our ability to excel in the knowledge we receive and to be able to properly acquire more knowledge is our inability to admit we don't know. That's one of the biggest obstacles we have. Because when we don't admit we don't know, that gives us the false assumption that we don't know, and therefore we block out the things that we need to know that we don't know because we think we know. And it is a big obstacle in actually learning. So if you're in the habit of saying, I don't know, and that becomes a reality for you, you will continue to learn until you know. If you're in the habit of saying, I don't know, and you really believe that, that will be the push for you to actually learn and seek knowledge until you actually know. It works. It works. And I would like us to keep that in mind, case by case, step by step, stage by stage, until I learn, until I know. And keep in mind, these are just some beneficial advices that I think about. We have a lot of work to do. I'm serious. We have a lot of work to do. And for us, we don't want to just be form. We want to become a reality. We don't just want to be a form. In other words, we don't just want to be kufis and hijabs. We want to become real practitioners of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed and what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam conveyed. Islam is not just entertainment. It is the reality that we need to learn, to implement, to realize so that we can be winners on the day of judgment. It's not just clothes and appearances. And don't be satisfied with clothes and forms. Desire reality. And push ourselves to become, not to just look like. To become, not to just look like. I was talking to someone, a group of youngsters, younger than me, so I say they're youngsters. And I said to them, we need you to become. We don't need you to just look like. We did that already. We can't afford to keep doing that. We need you to become, not just look like you're something. We need you to actually become that. So in your studies, you actually have to learn, not just say, I went to school. There's a difference. You actually have to learn, not just say, I went to school. That don't work. It should be expected that the one who attends the school, the one who attends the lesson, actually has learned what the purpose of the school and the lesson was established for. The school and the lesson were not just established for attendance. That wasn't the objective. The actual purpose of the school or the lesson was to produce a result of an educated person who therefore knows how to use that education to benefit and reform themselves or themselves and others. That's the objective. It's very important. We can't just look the part. We actually have to become the part. It's very important. And we all know from experience, we watching, if we be critically honest, no, brutally honest. I think sometimes we need that with ourselves and with our environments. Brutally honest. we need to do better in preservation of what we're learning. Preferably, that preservation is first and foremost in the mind and the heart. But if that's not the case, at least it is well documented and verified and preserved in the form of our notebooks, our books, our word. But it's verified and checked and it's correct. Not I wrote down what I thought I understood and I never had it checked, never had it reviewed, verified, and then I pass on what I misunderstood. No. Preservation is important, but we want not just preserve information, preserve the information as we received it. In the past, in the sessions of knowledge, they used to have conveyors from the sheikh in the session because they didn't have microphones. So say they would have a big session, hundreds of people. So every so distance, they would have someone who would repeat what the sheikh said to those in that area in a louder voice. So the sheikh would say something, then one conveyor would repeat that, the next conveyor would repeat that, and next, so that everyone in the session would hear the lesson. This is prior to microphones, right, and sound systems. That was the way they did it. So one time, one of the scholars, he had it, because they would assign people to do this, people who were good at preserving and memorizing and conveying. So one of the scholars, he said about one of those conveyors, he said, what a bad conveyor he is. He hears A, he writes down B, he memorized C, and he conveys D. He heard A, giving you an example, A, he heard Zaid, the name Zaid. He wrote down B, he wrote Amr. He conveyed C, Ahmed, for instance. He memorized C, Ahmed, for instance, and he conveyed D, say Khalil, anything, just for example. In other words, what he heard, he didn't write down. He wrote down something else. What he wrote down, he didn't memorize. He memorized something else. And what he ultimately conveyed was other than what he memorized. So that when it got to the other person, it was a bunch of confusion. Don't be like that. What you write down, what you hear, you should write down. What you wrote down, you should memorize. What you memorize should be the same you conveyed. And we should work on it case by case by case. Every case, we should work on it like that. Please, 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 let us all work on this. Let us work on it. It's extremely important, especially in our environments. Take it serious. It's important. If we're ever going to preserve pure Sunni, authentic Sunni Islam in our communities, we need this lesson. Because we have a mixture of so much stuff. Even in the name of Sunni Islam, stuff that's not Sunni Islam. And it becomes like the norm because we're not doing this part. The pressure of preservation is really a difficult task. Right? A difficult task. And that's why we have to do it case by case. Mas'ala, then another mas'ala, then another mas'ala, till we have a bunch of masail. We got to keep going, step by step by step. And then reviewing. Never get tired of it. Go back, review, go back, review. So what we covered for the last 4 or 5 years, whatever that's been, we need to go back, do all that over again while still continuing. So imagine the amount of things and books that we did over the last 4 years. Think of how much that is. 4 years, daily, and then weekends, and then seminars, and then gatherings. Think of all the information, all the masail, all the cases that we studied collectively in our sessions over the last 4 years. We need to go back and do all that over again. Very important. For the purpose of what? Preservation. All right, that was my advice to myself and to you. I want to ask a few questions in terms of preservation, and I would like all of you, please, all of you, help me. I need your help. Especially those who consider themselves a part of the 3453 family. Anyone who considers themselves a part of the 3453 family, and they feel that way. Those who are consider themselves of those who study with me, whether you call yourself a student, a lover, a supporter, I like her, whatever you call yourself, and it's related to me, you're saying you get that from me, I want something things. Don't pay attention to the comments of teachers who don't know what they're talking about. Be careful about that. The teachers here in the comments are probably shaitan with a pen on a tight keyboard, Allahu Alam. But some things, don't even make sense. But we're going to help them by deleting some of those foolish comments. And I hope they got the message before they get deleted. When you see your comment disappear, that means it don't make no sense. The next step, you be disappearing. So if you really came to benefit, knock it off with the teaching. Uh, with that being said, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in Aqidah are whom? Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in the area, in the field, in the science of Aqidah are who? Everyone go, inshallah. Please, everyone, it's a lot of y'all. Participate. I know some are driving, some, but not everybody's driving. And if everybody's driving, I don't know how we're going to preserve much. Some people need to just relax. So everyone put it. Who are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in Aqidah? Everyone put it, inshallah. In Aqidah, nothing else. So if you put something else, go back and fix it. And I see more than Aqidah. Go to Aqidah. Who are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in Aqidah, as we learned, not as you want it. I'm going to ask you to do it again, but before you do it, make the intention of teaching. I want you to do it again, put it up again, even if you put it, but only thing with the intention of preservation and teaching one mas'ala, one case, right? So put it again. Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in Aqidah are whom? It's very important. I'm being deliberate. This is our review. This is how we preserve. And we teach everyone who comes to our platform what we're doing with no hesitation, no variation, right? We say it. No matter what no one else is doing, this is what we're doing. It's clear as the sun at high noon on a bright, sunny summer day. Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Asharis and the Maturidis. Khalas. That's us. Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Asharis and Maturidis in Aqidah. Good. In Al-Fiqh, who are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in Al-Fiqh? So we said Aqidah, Asharis and Maturidis. In Al-Fiqh, I'm teaching you a mas'ala and we're reviewing. In fiqh, who are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah? In fiqh. Good. MashaAllah. 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 So in fiqh, Ahl Sunnah are the Hanafis, the Malikis, the Shafi'is, and the Hanbalis. Mm. Let's stop right there. Just stop right there. That's a case that I want us all to know well. So the next time I come to you, we're going to, and despite whatever else we do, we're going to expound on those two cases. And inshallah, we're going to build on them till we understand them well. Those two cases. And it is my firm belief that this, in the context which we live, is extremely important. And we got to do it till you're no longer afraid to do it. We have to repeat it until we collectively are no longer afraid or intimidated or shy to repeat it. When we are comfortable and firmly rooted in the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? Until we get to that extent, we should keep repeating, keep repeating, keep repeating, keep repeating, keep repeating, till we get so tired of hearing it. Because you'll be like, I'm Ashari and Maturidi. I'm Hanafi, Maliki, or Shafi, or Hanbali. It becomes like, and I'm really that. You don't got to keep telling me it. I'm it. I'm listen, here's, I'm Ashari. Boom, pop, pop, boom, pop, pop. I'm a Maliki, a Hanafi, Shafi, Maturidi. And you can articulate it well with no doubt. We got to keep repeating it till it gets like that. Right? I should never hear someone who learned with us, who spent time with us, talking about I follow Quran and Sunnah. That's a disservice for all the teachings we've done for all these years. To just say that. I follow the Quran and the Sunnah. What are you talking about? I can understand someone else saying that. But you learned. What are you talking about? You learned. Someone else, I understand. But you sat in sessions of knowledge. You sat with teachers. You've been taught. You learned books. What are you talking about? Like, does it make sense? You understand the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Why are you saying that? I understand others. They didn't learn. I understand. But you learned. Why are you saying that? Why are you hiding the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah with your speech? Why? If you say, I am Ashari or Maturidi in Aqidah, or I'm Hanafi or Maliki or Shafi or Hanbali in fiqh, isn't that following Quran and Sunnah? And other things that are necessary to understand Quran and Sunnah, isn't it? I am Ashari or Maturidi in Aqidah. I am Hanafi or Maliki or Shafi or Hanafi in fiqh. And I follow the methodologies of those great schools and the imams who established those schools with their students, am I not following the Quran and the Sunnah in the proper way? Of course, if I understood what it means to be Ashari or Maturidi in Aqidah, or to be Hanafi or Maliki or Shafi'i or Hanbali in fiqh. This is the proper way to follow the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When I know what all that entails, when I really understand, which I started with, when I really understand what all that entails, this is not only the correct way, it's the only way to correctly follow the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Give me 1 second. So, in closing, I'm sorry, I want us to understand that. Is this what I just said clear to everyone? At least every one of us who's been studying with us over all these years. Is this point I'm making extremely clear? So I'm really talking to people who've been with us for 3, 4, 5 years. Is this clear to you? Those who just join in, maybe you don't know what we're talking about. But those who study with us, I expect better from you. I really do. I don't expect you to be like someone who didn't study. But those who study, this should be clear. And make it a rule for yourself and for others. You have to be courageous. You have to, it's necessary for you to be courageous. Even if you yourself are not that strong in your ability to defend yourself, look at future generations who need authentic Islamic knowledge with its proper methodology. They need you to be firm. They need you to be strong. They need you to have courage. Even if so, push yourself for others, even if you yourself are weak. Push yourself for others. And it's easy to just say words. And two, because it is your conviction, you just may not have the oof to convey it. Convey it. So that it becomes normal. Right? I know it amazes me. I want to share something with you. Sometimes it disturbs me. I see people who are as hardy, but they're not as hardy. I wonder if you got that. They are as hardy, but they're not as hardy. They are as hardy, but they're not as hardy. What do I mean? I see people who graduated from Al Azhar in Egypt. They graduated. They have the turban, red, white, they have the coat, they look like Ashari person. They graduated from Al-Azhar. They have a degree from Al-Azhar, but they are not Ashari. Why? You say, what do you mean? I graduated. I got a diploma. I got a PhD. I got a master's degree. Yeah, but you're not Ashari. Why? Because Azhar is not a degree. Azhar is a methodology. There's a difference. So if you have a degree, but you don't have the methodology, what kind of Azhari are you? You are an infiltrator. You are not an Azhari. Because Azhar is a methodology. And what is the methodology of Al-Azhar? Ashari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali. That's the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That's the methodology of Al-Azhar. So if we have an Azhari who's not upon that, even if they got a degree, that person's not Azhari. Do y'all got that? Do y'all understand that? And we shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be like that. We need to be Sunni. We need to be Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and we need to convey it as it is. That's it. And that methodology is an established, firmly rooted methodology. It's upon us to learn it, to preserve it, to memorize it, to convey it. That's our job. And that methodology is the codified methodology of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as it was codified by the best of his inheritors, al-ulama, al-mujtahidun. That's Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And upon that methodology, we live, and hopefully, insha'Allah ta'ala, it is our hope that upon that methodology we die without having changed a thing. This voice, this message needs to be repeated and established and firmly rooted in each and every one of us, especially in our communities. It needs to be extremely loud. Why? Because opposing messages are loud. And if you're not loud, your message will be drowned out by its opposite. Do you got it? So you have to be loud. You have to be courageous. You have to be brave. Even if inside, you know, I'm not really like that. But for the bigger benefit, you have to push yourself. You have to be like the mother who is afraid, except when it comes to her babies. You have to be like the mother who is afraid except when it comes to her babies. You might scare me, but you touch my babies, watch out. I might be afraid of you. I might back off. But if it comes to my babies, absolutely not. That's where my mother instincts kick in and I go into protect mode. For us, we should be like that times 1,000 for the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. We should be like that mother times 1,000 for the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. May Allah make it easy for us. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala give us the strength to hold the banner of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, which is the banner of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, with honor and dignity and a trust. May Allah grant us that. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بارك الله بكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.